This is the car. A friend from Chang Sha sent me a photo. An old Mercedes, still holding its grace. But behind it, something rarer. A machine from the 1930s or 40s. That was enough. I set out for Chang Sha, chasing the chance to bring them both back to life. The owner warned me. The garage lights flicker on and off. So I came prepared. Flashlight in hand. Inside, the air was cool, a sharp contrast to the 100-degree heat outside. It felt like stepping into an old tomb. And then, there it was. A Mercedes from the 1980s, long wheelbase W23, waiting in the shadows. Forget the Mercedes. That's not what I came for. There, hidden deeper in the shadows, a true relic. An American car from the 1940s, a brand long gone, Packard. Rare, almost mythical. Even the Soviet GA Z110 was modeled after this very machine. But here it is, the real Packard 110, standing silent, waiting. The frame still holds. Inside, the interior tells a story. The steering wheel remains, though not all of it feels original. The old radio sits there, missing a cover. Then I lift the hood, the engine. Still here, after all these years. Look here. The water lines cracked from the freeze. The fuel system patched but never quite fixed. Every mark whispers of a struggle. This car carries stories in its steel. To survive from the 1930s and 40s, it makes you wonder, who was the person behind the wheel back then? Then came the moment of truth. Talking price. I told the owner how much I wanted this car, though the number was steep. The garage grew darker, but my resolve didn't fade. And in the end, the deal was done. The Packard was ours. Time to load it up and bring it home. Careful now. The tow begins. Slowly, inch by inch, the Packard rolls forward. The wheels turn, the body shifts, and for the first time in decades, it moves again. Easy on the slope, slow and steady. The Packard climbs forward without a fight, smoother than I imagined. We hadn't even arranged a tow in advance. Ended up paying a premium for one. But this was no car to leave overnight. It had to be loaded now. After an afternoon of struggle, the Packard was finally loaded. Time to head home. The Chang Sha heat was relentless, but inside the truck it felt cool again. Hours later, we arrived. The workshop where this car's second life would begin. At last, the Packard stood before us. Beautiful, even in its scars. We set it down carefully, the unloading complete. A long day's journey ended, and a rare treasure found its way home. The Packard, born in the 1930s, was finally home. Now the restoration could begin. Many asked why I brought it all the way to Wuhan. The reason is simple. A close friend here runs a workshop dedicated to reviving classics. He shares the same passion, the same dream, to keep the legacy of these old machines alive. 1,500 kilometers later, the journey was worth it. Chang Sha to Wuhan, just 300 kilometers. The perfect place to restore a classic among friends who share the same passion. Here, the Packard's second life begins. Ahead lies restoration, the hope of rallies, and the dream of hearing this 1930s legend roar again. First step, remove the hood. On a day this hot, I'm grateful for the friends who made it possible. This workshop gives us the perfect space to work. The Packard cost me 230,000 won. No bargain, but worth every cent. Still, seeing its rusted panels and peeling paint, I can't help but feel uneasy. Friends, restoring classics runs deep. Don't chase cheap deals, because with cars like this, there are none. The money's spent. Now the only way is forward. This Packard is rare and it deserves to be saved. Restored, it could even earn its keep on film sets. But the work begins hard. Bolts frozen, metal worn. We reach for tools, solvents, and impact drivers. The battle with time has just begun. The bolts were rusted solid, each one a fight. Welding new heads just to turn them, every step slowed the work. And in Wuhan's sweltering heat, the struggle felt endless. The Packard's body told its age, deep rust, scars of time. Few today remember the name, Packard, once a proud American mark. Its molds even sold to the Soviets for the GAZ 110. Sales were weak, production cut short, and this one, a four-door, makes it even rarer here in China. Packard's story reached this land too. Warlords once rode custom armored Packards, leaving their mark on history. These machines weren't just cars, they were legends of their era. No more words, time to push the teardown faster. The rear seals had long crumbled, but after decades the glass was still intact, a small miracle. We pulled it out carefully, then turned to the engine. Time to see if it would move. Our motto is simple: if it turns, it can run. And with that, we gave it a try. The spark came, but weak. The engine refused to fire. Still, with old cars you learn, if it turns, it can live. Next, the interior. Decades of worn parts waiting for renewal. Piece by piece, we stripped the body bare. In Wuhan's blistering heat, the work was heavy, but restoring history like this gave us strength. It took 2 full days just to strip the body. Now we separate the shell from the frame and pull the engine out. The body looks rough, but the chassis is solid. That eases my mind. If the frame were gone, the car would be lost. Slowly we roll the bare frame free. Rust covers it, but with sandblasting, the steel will breathe again. Restoring this body is a massive job. Corroded panels, a ruined roof. We pulled the engine, a straight six that once made 100 horsepower. By today's numbers, it seems small, but in its time, it was power and pride. Every era has its own magic, and Packard's legacy is worth remembering. The seller claimed the engine once ran. We'll know soon enough when it roars again. For now it's out, and the chassis stripped for sandblasting. The parts are solid, built to last. A front engine, rear drive machine. This layout evokes legends, even Ferrari's 599. Proof that true balance never goes out of style. The beauty of a front-engine, rear-drive car is balance and room to dream. Once restored, maybe this Packard could even run a rally. Since earning my license, racing has only pulled me in deeper. Now we strip the chrome, sending each piece off for plating. Old cars love their chrome. It gave them status, shine. Piece by piece, we pack it up for the journey. With the chrome sent off, we couldn't rest. The hardest part loomed, bodywork. I'd avoided it, knowing how much there was to fix. But no more. Sleeves rolled up, hammers ready. Restoring history takes grit. The bodywork wasn't finished, but sandblasting couldn't wait. We hauled the shell to the shop, the heart of this restoration. The blasting room was massive, fit for tanks. Workers suited up, sand flying like bullets. I stayed at the door. Better to film than feel the sting. Midway through blasting, a belt snapped, not a dozens of meters jammed tight. The crew switched rooms and finished the job. When it was done, the shell looked reborn, the frame solid as new. With epoxy laid on, rust wouldn't claim it again. This was the turning point. With epoxy laid on, the car's shape began to return. Next came the most important step, paint. I chose a two-tone finish, ivory white with Tiffany blue. For a machine nearly a century old, this color would breathe new life. The moment the blue touched metal, the car's soul rose again. After more than 20 days of work, the paint was finally done. Ivory and light blue, a touch of elegance for this Packard. Now comes the reassembly, the final stretch. And to those who've stayed with me to the end, you must love this car as much as I do. Thank you for the support. The story isn't over. Tomorrow we continue. While waiting, we clean the engine. Our motto stays the same. If it turns, it can run. The block was sound, no need to rebuild. Just a deep clean, then the gearbox removed for service. With my friends at the workshop, the Packard's heart was safe. Together we pressed on with the restoration. Some said the 230,000 yen wasn't worth it, so we pushed harder, determined to prove them wrong. The freshly painted frame went back together. Rear axle, suspension, all mounted. To my surprise, this Packard 110 used a body-on-frame design, rare for its time, built for stability on the rough roads of the 1940s. Next, we hoisted the engine back in. Piece by piece, the Packard came together again. I know everyone wants to see this 1940s luxury car whole, and so do I. The clutch looked fine, the fuel tank went on, and I had a feeling this car might just fire up on the first try. With the chassis ready, it was time for paint. The workshop's spray booth gave the finish its shine. Some in the comments mocked my choice of color, calling it cheap, even posting tractors as jokes. I understand. Most expect the old shades of history, but this time I wanted something bold, a gamble worth taking. I wanted this classic to stand apart. Once the freshly painted panels went on, the car's presence returned. Original trim would make it shine, but the old parts were too far gone. We sent them to Fujian for restoration. Professionals handle what passion alone can't. It cost me plenty, but at this stage there was no turning back. Over 20,000 yuan just for the chrome, down to the grill. Once the chrome went back on, the Packard seemed alive again. The shine was worth every penny. With trim restored and seats fitted, likely redone by a previous owner, the car gained its elegance back, one detail at a time. The moment had come. I couldn't wait any longer. Time for a test. First, would the engine fire? Second, would the Packard move under its own power again? I climbed in, shut the door, traced the wiring, and reached for the switch. Power on, a temporary start button wired in. I pressed it, gave the throttle a nudge. The starter groaned, struggled, once, twice, then silence. Not yet. We tried again. And then it caught. The Packard moved forward, alive once more. I pressed the throttle, shifted, even slipped it into reverse. After decades of silence, the car answered back. I knowing it could run eased my mind. Now the focus turned to the details. Interior, chassis reinforcements, every fitting in place. The motto stayed the same, just get it done. After more than a month of work, the Packard was finally taking shape. At last, the final stage. The Packard's design grows more striking with every glance, a lesson in minimalist beauty. Even under tight costs, it kept its flowing lines, its comfort, its elegance, a true symbol of its era, and the reason I chose it at first sight. Some things are destiny. This car and I were meant to meet. With the exterior nearly complete, only the interior remained. We chose a caramel wood grain finish, classic, rich, timeless. Layer by layer, the details returned. Polish, clear coat, shine. The pattern came alive, bold and beautiful. To me, it was stunning, and I hope you see it too. With the wood grain trim fitted, the Packard neared completion. Though the company is long gone, its design still endures. After more than a month of labor, the 1940s classic was reborn. I remember its first day here. Rusted, broken, forgotten. Now restored piece by piece, it stands proud again. To those who've stayed to the end, you've shared this journey with me. If you've watched this far, you must love classic restorations. or this 1940s Packard itself. Thank you for the support. The story is just the beginning. And if you want to follow every step of this journey, don't forget to subscribe and stay with us for what's next.